Hey everybody, today I'm going to do a really quick review of the book Retrotopia, or Retropia. Not sure exactly how to pronounce it, by John Michael Greer. He's a guy that's really become one of my favorite authors. I really enjoy reading John Michael Greer and occasionally checking in on his blog. I don't do that as much as I should. But he's a very interesting guy, and this book was definitely no disappointment. It came out not too long ago, I think, within the year. This guy like churns out a lot of books. But anyway, one of his major preoccupations is the idea that industrial society is going to fail us. Basically, it's not sustainable, and we'll keep getting diminishing returns for the price we pay for what we get. And as far as price we pay, that would be environmental factors, societal factors, cultural factors. A lot of these costs that oftentimes aren't bundled into what we pay for things, and that was basically the theme of this book. The story goes that in about the year 2070, I forgot the exact year, but just a couple generations beyond where we're at now, the United States doesn't exist as the United States anymore. It's a series of breakaway republics or whatever. There's the Atlantic Republic, I think, which is think like New York City, Philadelphia, D.C., that area. Then there's the South is one, and then there's the Missouri Republic, which is like the Midwest, and then some other things. But the main story focuses around the Lakeland Republic, which is basically the Great Lakes area. And the story of the book goes that there's an ambassador from the Atlantic Republic, which is supposed to be kind of more symbolic of the United States today, I think. It would be like the most. To me, I got the impression that the Atlantic Republic was like the continuation of the United States government today, basically, would be right there. But anyway, it's an ambassador that goes to the Lakeland Republic and spend some time in Toledo, which is the capital city. And the book reminds me a lot of, for one, Looking Backwards by Edward Bellamy, which is a book written like in the late 1900s, I believe. And it's a guy that goes into a coma and wakes up 100 years later, and it's like this socialist utopia. And the whole book is basically people explaining to him what's happened in the past 100 years and how society is now compared to how it is then. There's a little bit of that, but there's also Ecotopia by, Heinlein? No. I'm drawing a blank of who wrote Ecotopia, but it's a book that came out in the 70s, and it's about basically the same kind of story. There's a shadowy breakaway republic of Ecotopia, which is like the Pacific Northwest, basically, and parts of California. And, they're kind of keeping people out, but they let a journalist in. And it's kind of like this guy reporting on what he saw in Ecotopia. And Ecotopia is a book that most certainly Greer would be very, very familiar with. It was kind of a big one from the voluntary simplicity, back to the land movement, Mother Earth News era kind of thing back in the 70s, and where John Michael Greer cut his teeth on all this stuff. It definitely was in his mind, and maybe sometime in the near future I'll talk about that particular book in a little bit more depth. But and obviously the name is kind of a tribute to that, I would say, a little bit. But as the story of the book goes, there's not really like a huge, not really a big story to the story, really, as far as like a novel goes, where there's like this plot, and guy saves the day or whatever. Which I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because when someone reads a book like that, they want to know about the world that he's in. Basically, I think that's mainly why people would read something like that, and that's why I read it. And so it definitely hits the mark on that. But it takes a little while to. I feel a little while to get into the meat of the book. As far as like what he's really trying to say with it. And once he does, it really starts coming in. The themes of diminishing returns from technology, and the idea that there's a level of technology in human history that is more or less sustainable, and leads to a pretty good standard of life. And his belief that we should basically try to go back to that level more or less. And he's very eloquent with that, I believe, and kind of laying out how things could be. But anyway, one thing that's kind of interesting is the Lakeland Republic. They have a tiered tax system where there's 5 levels, and each level represents a gap in technology. So, like, the top level would be like 1950s era technology, and the next level down is like 1920s, and then 1890s, and then the bottom level is like 1860s, where basically, like, you might have gravel roads, and that's about it. Whereas in the 1950s, maybe you might have paved streets. You have access to electricity, telephone system, street lighting, so forth. Tram cars, maybe in the top two tiers or whatever. But basically, people in the counties vote on what level of technology they want, and consequently, what levels of development they get. And one kind of theme that runs into that is the idea of having to pay for all the external costs, I guess, of technology. Because a lot of times today, like, we might have this heavy industry, and, like, the environmental costs are pushed off on the people or whatever. But in the world that Greer created in this, those externalities, that's the word I was looking for, are pushed off, or I'm not pushed off. They're all accounted for and paid by whoever's doing whatever it is they're doing. So somebody in, like, a lower tier system without technology can basically have whatever they want, but they're paying for whatever they want. But so anyway, that's life within the Lakeland Republic, and outside of there's talk of war between some of the breakaway U.S. countries, and problems with oil and so forth, and like, the Lakeland Republic serves as a template for some of these other republics on how to create a post-industrial society. And John Michael Greer, God, this guy's very, very intelligent. He's one of these people that I would like, if you ask, like, oh, what famous people would you like to meet and talk to? Granted, he's not really that famous, but he's probably one of those, like, the people, like, if you could sit and have coffee with, like, any living person or whatever, like, he would be high on my list. This guy impressed me quite a bit with his breadth of knowledge, but there's a lot of interesting stuff about satellites in the book that I didn't didn't really think too much about. That's definitely worth the price of admission, I would say, right there. But anyway, yeah, check out the book. Really good author. I don't think I liked it quite as much as I did the oh hell, what was the title of that book? The one where the U.S. goes to war with China and Africa. It wasn't quite as much of a page turner on that, but it was still very good. To me, I probably liked it maybe about as much as Stars Reach. But yeah, definitely check that out. And if you haven't checked out those other 2 books, I think it's like, I still can't think of the other one, but Stars Reach and the novels that he's done are all very, very informative and entertaining, and this was no exception. All right, thanks for watching.